So let me ask you this question. This is more for myself. This is maybe the audience here can process it any way they want. You know, we started a company based on a vision of capitalism, and I promised myself I'm going to be talking about this for the rest of my life on me coming here from Iran and understanding how this system works and why so many immigrants come here. So I said, for the rest of our careers, we're going to be talking about this. And we're multicultural. We got a lot of different nationalities. And that's 54% Latino. I think the second largest population in this room is probably African American, and then it's going to be Caucasian, and then it's going to be, I can't let out my Filipino community that we have here as well. And then we got a handful of Middle Easterns here as well, a few hundred Middle Easterns. But here's my question for you. But do you think some of the belief system that we have politically, liberal or conservative, we're born with?
Oh, yes.
You do think that?
Oh, I think the evidence for
tell
that's
us
very clear.
more. Tell us why you say that.
Well, okay, so there have been good personality studies done for, I would say, about 30 years. And the reason for that is that we figured out a personality model about 30 years ago that's stable cross-culturally, and it was mostly derived statistically. And it required a fair bit of computational power to derive. And basically, the way that it was derived was that thousands of people were asked hundreds and hundreds of questions. And then computers could figure out how the answers grouped. So if you were likely to say yes to question A and also to question J, maybe that was a tendency across a large group of people, and so you could assume that there was something similar about question A and J, and you could sort the questions into groups. And it turns out that questions about personality sort into 5 groups. And there's some argument about exactly the right number, but it doesn't matter. It's somewhere between 5 and 7, and you can break the 5 down into 10, but whatever. We've got a pretty good overall descriptive structure, like the periodic table of the elements for personality. And if you're an extrovert, man, it's like you want to be where the action is. You want to be where the party is. You're telling jokes, and you're setting up social occasions, and you smile a lot, and you talk a lot, and you want people around you all the time. And a tremendous amount of that is influenced genetically. And you can tell that if you have children, because your children are like that from like day one.
No doubt about it, yeah.
So people differ in extroversion, and that's positive emotion. They differ in neuroticism, and that's negative emotion. Some people are much more sensitive to depression and grief and anxiety. Their threshold for threat is a lot lower. Some people are agreeable rather than disagreeable, and agreeable people are very empathic and self-sacrificing. And the empathic part is good because, you know, it's useful to be empathic, especially if you're caring for people who are in real trouble. But the self-sacrificing isn't so good. That can make you resentful and also decrease the probability that you're going to be successful in your salary negotiations and so forth. So those of you who are agreeable and have a hard time standing up for yourself and fighting, you know, you'll fight for other people but not for yourself. It's a very good skill to develop, that ability to watch your resentment and see what you need and then make a case for it. It's a hard thing to learn. People differ in conscientiousness, that's orderliness and industrious, and they differ in creativity, which is openness. And a lot of that's genetic. It's there to begin with. Now you can move that with the environment, you know, but you know, you have a character. It's there. Liberals are higher in openness, that's trait creativity, and lower in conscientiousness, especially orderliness. And that seems to be because they believe, or their let's say their niche is an informational niche. They believe that the free flow of information is worth the risk. So that'd be the free flow of people across borders, the free flow of ideas across borders, the free flow of concepts across categories. They'd rather that the borders were permeable. Now the conservatives are low in openness and high in conscientiousness, especially orderliness, and they take the opposite tack. They think, well, yeah, there's danger in too much openness. There's danger in borders that are too permeable. Things can change too fast. Entire societies can become destabilized, and everyone can end up not knowing which way is up. And the thing is that both of those attitudes are correct. It depends on the time. Because sometimes you know, sometimes things are changing so fast that everybody's knocked off their feet and things are falling apart. And sometimes things are so rigid that there isn't any new water flowing and everything's ground to a halt. You see that in corporations very often, where they get ossified, you know, and there's no new ideas, and then they collapse. You know, the average Fortune 500 company only lasts, I think now it's only 24 years, and the duration of their occupation of the top Fortune 500 space is getting shorter and shorter every year. You need liberals because now and then the right thing to do is to come up with something new. And you need conservatives because now and then the right thing to do is to do what everybody has always done. And the reason you need political dialogue is so that the liberals and the conservatives can continue to argue about which of those solutions is appropriate right now. And
that's powerful, Jordan. And that's a unifying message, by the way. That's a unifying message that you're not hearing.
Yes.
Today, it's not a unifying message that we need each other. Today, it's more, we're smart, you're dumb, and you have no clue what you're talking about. And you're trying to take advantage of people. Versus, hey, we need to kind of process this thing together. No,
it's really a bad idea, you know. Like, I really find it interesting to talk to people whose political opinions differ from mine. And for me, that's mostly meant talking to really strong conservatives. Because I would say, temperamentally, I tilt in the liberal direction, although being a social scientist has made me more conservative. It's very interesting to talk to people who don't share your political views if you listen to them, because they'll tell you all sorts of things about why they think that you just don't understand. And it's not that they're wrong. It's that sometimes they're wrong and sometimes they're right. And the whole point of free speech, as far as I can tell, the deep point of free speech is that, you know, it's all as if we're riding on the back of a giant snake and it's twisting and turning all the time, and we're trying to figure out how to stay in the center so that we don't fall off the sides, you know. And sometimes it's time for a bit of a tilt to the left, and sometimes it's time for a bit of a tilt to the right. And the only way you can tell when that time is by having a discussion about it. And so it's the discussion that keeps us centered. It's not the fact that the conservatives are right or that the liberals are right. They're both necessary, annoying as that is.
You know what? One of the things he's talking about, you never know what people are going through. Myself, Marvin, and Jordan were speaking backstage. And, you know, he's been not as active recently as possible with media because of what your personal life, what your wife is going through health-wise. And he still kept his commitment to come out. He has so much respect for somebody like Jordan Peterson to still keep his commitment. And that's tough to do. It's your wife. So let's make some noise for Jordan Peterson. Jordan, appreciate you for coming out.